This is absolutely Essendon. It's our grand final week special. Just because, as Essendon supporters, we get to sit on the sidelines for yet another year doesn't mean we can't be involved. Yeah, there's a lot happening off the field. Definitely not on the field. It's just crickets chirping on the field, but off the field, lots of stuff, lots of rumours happening down at the club. So we thought we would have a look at the final series thus far. Have a look at what can we learn as Essendon supporters about our own club, given the performance of. The good performance, this very solid performance of other clubs, and all sorts of other bits and pieces. Quite a bit.
Well, that is an incredible intro, and I think you've nailed it. Of course, all of our fans will be watching this on their iPads and mobile phone devices from Cabo and St Moritz.
You think?
Cape Town. Around the world, because they always book holidays for September, right?
Right, because they know.
So they're away at the moment.
So they get their flights on points from
they do.
Well in advance.
And make sure they get their bookings in for the month of September, when, of course, they will be free of any commitments.
Yes.
And so if you're having great holidays, guys, good for you. We're still working, of course, because football never sleeps, and neither do we here at Absolutely Essendon, although you have had your own little journeys around the world recently, so welcome back.
Thank you. Yes, I was in the Middle East.
Yeah, and not with Hezbollah, of course. You were just watching from afar.
I might have been doing some humanitarian work on the Gaza Strip.
I did send a message to your pager while you were away.
I was going to do a pager gag, and it's way too soon.
Did I jump into it? Is it too soon?
Yes.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's never too soon when it comes to those nothings.
Right. Okay.
But we're not about politics here, are we?
Are we? Okay, now you've been scribbling a lot of stuff in that book of yours. So, where shall we go first?
All right. So look, let me open the batting, and was it the bowling? I'll come in from the southern end with the first over. I just wanted to maybe we'll pick up. Of course, the season's well finished for us, and the off season's really always our time of year. Just want to look at some of the delistings that have happened at the club, because we're always intrigued to see who's going to survive the cut, and I was a little shocked to see one Nick Hind being shown the door. I thought that was a little bit rough.
It was very quick. It was abrupt.
It was. It was like a hit.
And arguably, there's probably 7 or 8 players that probably should have been on that list.
They were hiding. They were hiding in the corners of the hangar.
Is that how it works? If they don't see you, then you can't be delisted.
Here I come, ready or not. It's that type of thing. So Nick Hind obviously had some earplugs in, didn't realise that the list management were coming around the corner and tapped him on the shoulder.
Or were there other reasons?
What are you saying? Are you suggesting something?
Well, there's been a lot of stuff swirling around.
There has, hasn't there?
There has, but you know what? On that note, before we add to the sort of what can be often vicious rumours, which we don't mean to do, I just want to quickly rewind to quite often how people get themselves in a spin. You look at the Brisbane Lions and the way they started this season. If you recall, they started very slowly.
0-3, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And then people were saying, the Lions are cooked, all those sort of terms, even though I don't like that term, cooked. People love that term. And because apparently there was some photos that went around from their trip to Las Vegas, the pre-season trip, remember? And there was a WhatsApp group, and someone wasn't supposed to share some photos, and apparently there was disunity in the club, and it took up a lot of mainstream media time, and in the end they just gathered themselves, and they're about to win a grand final. But
that doesn't mean that those rumours were not real. They just got around them, right? They overcame those little disruptions.
But the way it was built up was that there was just major Grand Canyon-esque chasm.
So what's your point?
In the side.
Are you saying that we shouldn't be listening too much to some of the rumours around the Nick Hind departure from the club?
Possibly.
Right.
Possibly. I think you should just temper it.
Despite the fact that the AFL itself has written to the club, to Essendon, and said, look, be a little bit mindful that when, players invite people into the dressing room, because this is what we're talking about, you just might want to have a look at the guest list before have a bouncer on the door just to say, hey, sorry, mate, you can't come in.
A bit of a filter.
Some kind of filter, this is a family-friendly experience in the dressing rooms, and we'd rather have less of the Melbourne underworld.
Right, okay. They're not big on that?
I don't know. I mean, I think, but for a club that's had some, history when it comes to dealing with shady characters, and I'm not talking about you, Stephen Dank.
No.
But, certainly some of his associates were well connected with, people who like the two-wheel motorsports.
Right, yes.
We would have thought we'd learn some lessons from that, but
big fans of ink, big fans of leather.
Love a little ink.
Right.
Love a little ink.
Yes, okay. Well, yes, I think, there was, there's been talk that perhaps we should be inviting more Order of Australia medal receivers.
I agree completely. I think, we should be being more mindful and, handpick the crowd a little better and, look for people of, good social standing, upright citizens, and ensure that that's the way the club's looked at. But I think, anyway, Nick Hine gone, clearly not because of his footballing ability, although, to be fair, that wasn't great.
Yeah.
But because
it was mixed.
Because of the company he keeps.
Yeah, that is interesting. Well, I mean, if that goes some way towards helping the culture down at Essendon, where I think there still remain some issues, is my overall vibe.
Well, it brings to the surface the story that was doing the rounds a few weeks ago, where Zach Merritt, our glorious captain, apparently confronted the football club about their treatment of Jake Stringer and Nick Hind and Laverty. All good friends of Zach's, apparently.
Right.
And there was this sort of noise going around that, what sort of captain is Zach Merritt if he's questioning the club's decision on how they manage these other players and their contract opportunities and extensions and so on and so forth.
Were you buying that?
Look, I wasn't sure what to make of it. I don't think it would have been appropriate for Zach to be getting involved in, as much as they may be his friends. It's not his job to select the team. It's not his job to decide on the list management. But he has subsequently refuted that and put those rumours to rest and had a bit of a crack at Sam McClure line that's drawn between having mates and what the football club does as far as its list management decisions.
I can't imagine him. I didn't buy that story for a second. No. That just seemed like media fabrication, filling up column centimetres.
And he beautifully put Sam McClure back in his place at the Brownlow medal.
Did he?
Yeah, he was being interviewed at the Crown outside the Palladium there, and pretty much told Sam McClure to his face that he had no idea what you were talking about and got it wrong.
I felt the article a little bit hinted that I was picking personal friendships over the club or decisions made by the club. That was my view.
It's an interesting way to read it.
That's how I read it,
okay.
And probably maybe that was how people interpreted it as well around you. And just wanted to be clear that wasn't what I was intending, and clearly from your point of view now, you're saying that wasn't what you intended.
So good on you, Zach.
Good on you.
And it was great
Zach.
to see you the other night at the Brownlow.
Right. Well, I was going to say, because one of us was at the Brownlow this year, and I mean, how did that happen? Was that Make-A-Wish Foundation?
I asked if you could come as well, but they said, look, subsequently, due to the Essendon situation with who we bring into the, you weren't allowed. They said, you weren't a person of substantial social standing. So unfortunately, you missed out.
I was with Nick, in the northern suburbs.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
concocting.
At the still.
Scheming and plotting.
So, did have a very good night at the Brownlow medal. Absolutely Essendon, of course, hot as it gets. We're on the invitation list and was very, very, very happy to be there and had a great evening with a few of the boys.
Did you? So I won't. You don't have to share everything, but
you can't. What happens at the Brownlow stays at the Brownlow.
Right. I mean, look, I don't want to hear about the fake tans and the plunging necklines.
No chance of that here.
No, you didn't go with that.
Someone said you should.
What about plunging neckline? Did you?
Definitely. I had a look at that later on. But anyway, that's another thing. Right. But I had a great chat with young Sam Durham, who
on the red carpet.
What a magnificent young man he is.
I've never seen. I saw that photo.
Yeah, I was. Someone put that up. That wasn't me. Of
course. That's our social media team. Simon, he's back.
Simon.
But I've never seen you standing so erect.
Well, Durham's not the biggest guy around either, is he?
No. But that posture.
But he towered over there.
It was quite impressive.
He's got a very lovely young lady friend, Paris.
I'm surprised you didn't want to try and have a photo with her.
I did, but it just didn't get put up on our Twitter account.
Right.
But no, Sam was lovely, and I wished him congratulations on behalf of all of the Absolutely Essendon community.
You did?
For a fantastic year, and he was probably one of the standouts for us in season 2024.
No doubt.
And but the poor kid.
Yeah.
The poor kid. He said to me, look, mate, nearly let it out there. Mate, the issue is, look, we're not going to let it slip again. We're not. I said, what are you talking about?
Is that what he said?
He said, trust me, next year, we're not going to let it slip again. I said, look, Sam, you don't have to apologise for anything. You were a beacon.
A shining light.
Definitely a shining light. But, he's feeling it. He's feeling the pressure. And I think, a lot of the boys down at the club clearly are after their fade out in 24. So, but
it's interesting that they click into party line mode.
Yeah, well, it definitely felt a little bit like that. But, look, I hope that that's true. I hope that the boys, come back in the pre-season ready to go, really, make 25 the season that we all want, and we've got to be learning lessons from the last 2 years. Something's not quite right down at that club.
No, it is not. No, it is not. And we'll get back to your list, but it just when you look at the other clubs that again have done very well in this final series. And you make the comparisons. The Geelongs almost making a grand final again 2 years later with a lot of the personnel from 2 years ago missing. Swans there again. Yeah.
There's David Barham said it. When he first took over. I think we've talked about it on the show. But he famously said, "Look, all we have to do is take note of what the successful clubs are doing." And replicate that. And, that's probably, a good starting point, but it goes deeper than that. And, the personnel that you have available to you in any football club is ultimately going to be what determines the outcome. It's how that group, the coaches, the development coaches, fitness staff, the players themselves, even the administration. And you hear it all the time, and it's a bit of a cliche, but everybody's got to be on the same page. And I think that is the difference between Essendon of recent years and, say, a Geelong or a Sydney, is that the Geelong Football Club just has that clear vision. Everyone's buying into it. They're all on the same page. They're all working in the same direction towards the same outcome. I think Sydney has done that for a long time. Has Essendon really achieved that? I don't know.
What you notice is that Geelong and the Swans, they just have players that play above their contract value. And how do they get, is that the development side of things? It's like you see these players and they just have these bursts and great performance. You're just like, who are you? Where did you come from? We have moments of that. Nick Martin, great find. Sam Durham, what he's been able to do. Then they sort of get put on sort of these nice juicy contracts, and the performance
something happens
sometimes.
I think Collingwood in 23 were one of the less stellar premiers in recent years. Not to say they didn't deserve to win the premiership, but they were not a team chock-a-block full of superstars. There was a few really good players, but generally speaking, they were a team of pretty mid-road
champion team,
grade,
rather than team.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it all clicked for them. You could see the camaraderie in the side, and the support they had for their coach. And
cohesive unit.
The coach was really a part of that sort of that experience. This year it wasn't quite the same.
No.
And maybe that was a bit of a premiership hangover, but it just goes to show if you're only 5% off in any particular part of the operation, the organisation of a football club, it's going to make a difference. So I think Collingwood achieved greatness not by being necessarily the greatest team, but because they had all those elements working together. And I think that's something that we as a football club are going to have to find a way to achieve that outcome, because things like having the wrong people in the changing rooms and, these types of distractions, it just all suggests that not everything is running smoothly.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. And I want to, you know what, we'll go back to our little running sort of, it's not really a running list, it's a running rabble. But I want to talk about who you think was the coach of the year this year in terms of what they achieved with their club. But you can just sit on that.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to. Should we go back to trade talk?
Well, look, let's do that because, of course, that's what everyone's fascinated by at this time of year. Well, if you're an Essendon supporter, you are.
No, not anymore.
Well, I'm gonna. I know Felix over at Everything Essendon. He's just pumping out videos.
Is he? I haven't tuned in. I've been away.
He is pumping them out.
Is he?
Yeah. Well, he is the trade guru.
He's the go-to man.
He is, and
Everything Essendon.
There's nothing we're going to be able to add or shed light on that Felix hasn't already covered beautifully. So if you are really interested in what's happening in the world of trades and drafting, do pop over to Everything Essendon. Say hi to Felix, and he is up to the minute and really is. I don't know where he's getting this material from. I think he makes half of it up, of course, but that's all right. But look, my view of it is I don't think we're going to be particularly active in the trade week. I think that. Look, the word around the industry is this draft year is an absolute cracker. And they're saying that, really anything up to number 30 in the draft is a pretty decent player. And so a lot of the clubs are clambering to get draft picks so that they can have a little bit of a dash at the buffet.
Right. Really?
Yeah.
There's some fresh stock available.
Yep. So we only have 2 draft picks. I think we're on pick 8 and pick something like 28 or I can't even remember.
Oh, are we? Okay, eight's not bad.
Well, it's a very interesting situation for us because, of course, Essendon has a young guy called Isaac Kako. Most of you would be aware of him. He's a small forward, dynamic small forward in the same vein as, say, the young guy at Hawthorn. What's his name? Watson?
Nick Watson. The Wizard.
The Wizard, yep. And we might have our own Wizard on our hands. So Kako is generally believed to be a player that will go in the sort of early teens in the draft, maybe mid-teens. We have pick 8. So here's the thing. We don't want to waste our pick 8 on him. And the reason why is because he's a part of the Essendon Next Generation Academy. So we can take him at any point in the draft. But if someone else or another team comes calling for him earlier, then we have the right to match that bid. And as long as we match the bid, we get the player.
Right.
So that's the deal.
Okay.
So unless someone takes him at number 7 or before pick 8, we wouldn't use pick 8 on him.
Right.
Because we would rather use later picks and preserve pick 8 for another player.
Right.
Right?
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
I'm actually even keeping up this.
So here's the deal. If someone comes at Kako, let's say a club bids for him at pick 10 or 11, just to test our mettle.
Right.
We're going to have to find a number of draft picks where their point value is the equivalent of the bid made by the other club.
What's that, 43, 68, 24?
Don't know what the numbers are. Someone out there will.
Right.
And how do you do that? You do it by bundling up a few round 2, round 3 picks, whatever it may be. Here you go, AFL, you have those, we take our player.
Right.
The club that made the bid misses out.
Right.
We don't have those picks.
Oh, we don't?
We don't have enough of them, and that's the thing. So Essendon is going to have to release or at least trade away a couple of players to get a bunch of 2nd, 3rd, 4th round picks. They can always use I think they can use future picks in, maybe not, I'm not sure, someone will know, but they may be able to use future draft picks to match bids, but someone I'm sure in our audience will confirm that.
Where is this leading? Is this to Wiedemann?
So what it means is that we do have to offload a couple of players. And who are those players? So I think realistically Stringer is the player that I think is everyone's talking about.
Right.
All the clubs, most of the clubs are saying not interested. But of course, they're not going to.
Wasn't Collingwood interested?
Well, they've distanced themselves. McRae has already come out and said they have no interest in Stringer. I think Sydney has made some noises. But I think the truth of it, no one's going to play their hand yet.
Right.
But I'm sure someone will come knocking for Stringer. I mean, he kicked 40 goals for us in a pretty inconsistent season. In the right team, 40 goals, 45 goals could be the difference between a flag or not a flag. It's now whether or not Stringer as a person, his character, the people that he associates with, going back to the Nick Hines situation, whether that, and this is all alleged, we can't say for sure whether any of those rumours are true. So Stringer, would we get a pick for Stringer, and what would he deliver? I think at best, we would get a late second round, maybe, for Jake Stringer.
At best.
More likely a third round,
yes,
or maybe even a make weight in a trade, a player swap, for example.
Okay.
But
okay.
I don't think you get anything better than that.
What else you got?
Laverde, again, look, Laverde's kind of got caught up in some of the nasty rumours going around, of which none have been confirmed, so it's all alleged. But I think the club's looking to offload Jaden.
Right.
He's getting on. He's about 29 now, I think.
Right.
And you'd be lucky to get a fourth round draft pick, third maybe for him.
Yep.
But you would probably take it.
Right.
And then the other one, which is a bit of a left field, is Ben Hobbs. I've heard his name mentioned a few times. And Ben Hobbs, this one's going to split the
mate. I'll tell you right now, that will be another Massimo D'Ambrosio in the making.
Could be.
I'll tell you.
Yep,
I'll tell you right now. I don't even have to think about it.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is we're overstocked with midfielders. If Dylan Shield isn't moving on, he's on one more year on his contract. I've heard nothing about Shield, although I'm sure the club will be looking at offloading him. But then, we still have Elijah Sartis, who, we're hoping will come on. I mean, maybe Sartis is a trade option.
Yeah.
But the midfield of Parrish, Merritt, Caldwell, Durham, and maybe throw Martin into that mix. That seems to be the core group. So there might be some strategic value in letting a guy like Hobbs go. But Hobbs, we drafted with pick 13 a couple of years ago. You wouldn't get that for him. You're not going to get a first round pick for Ben Hobbs, but you might get a second round
then
pick.
Keep him. Then absolutely then just no to that one.
So
but thank you for raising it.
I hear you.
But we haven't touched on though the other rumour about our captain.
Yeah, so Zach Merritt, right. This was an interesting one. It came out of the blue, right, didn't it? Yeah,
it did.
Yep. Zach Merritt
did.
Looking at St Kilda making a Godfather offer.
Godfather.
You know what of course you would know what a Godfather offer is.
Well, I don't know if I do. Okay, stop.
He does.
I never bought that one for a second. But he did confirm that it happened, didn't he? And then he put it to the family. He let them know.
He did. He had to get permission from his missus.
He was. Yes, he was quite generous. I mean, it was a very generous offer, apparently. I don't know what that means.
Well, I love the fact that all parties were denying at the clubs.
Right.
And then Zach came out and said it was happening. So St Kilda, no, we haven't spoken to him. Of course, Essendon, no one's talking to our captain. He's a wanted player.
Untouchable.
So St Kilda apparently did make an offer. What was that offer? I don't know, but you would have to think there's at least a first round draft pick involved, and maybe I don't think they would have offered 2 first rounds for a player who's going to be in his late 2029. I think.
Yep, just 29.
But Merritt definitely a first round draft pick. But here's the thing. Who at St Kilda in their right mind is going, I think Zach Merritt's looking for success. Maybe we could tempt him.
Yeah.
Maybe we could tempt him down to Moorabbin.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. He's looking for a club with good culture.
Good culture, success, likelihood of a premiership in the next 40 years. That is not going to happen. But I tell you what.
We do have a lot of Saints supporters.
We do, and we love the Saints because they're much like us now.
Yeah, they are.
But I don't know. Zach Merritt, I got to be honest with you, and some people will hate me for this.
Yeah.
I actually was thinking,
Were you?
Ooh.
Really?
What did you think?
No. I was thinking the delta, the difference in salary would have to be massive to go and wear those colours for Zach.
No, but I'm thinking, in terms of we could do with those nice little juicy draft picks.
No, I know that.
Did you have that little? I mean,
No.
It's a moment of sin, and I'm ashamed of myself for it.
No, yeah. Look, you're one of those people that always thinks there's just amazing fresh stock out there that will just come around.
Have you seen the draft this year?
And turn our fortunes around. Oh, man, I've heard it for how many years? I mean, do I need to start quoting some of these years
Look,
to you?
there's only been one really shit draft year in the last sort of 10 years, and that happened to be the year we had 3 top 10 draft picks. So.
No, but what does it matter if when they come to the club, you put them out on the hanger, you get them nice and injured in the first 3 weeks, and then you take away any skill or execution ability? What does that matter?
And then introduce them to Nick Hines' friends.
I'm just not a buyer in that. I'm not a grass is greener kind of guy.
Well, look, you've got to hope, right? That's always the thing with the draft. You always think you're going to hit the jackpot. But
right.
Look, I have to say, for a minute, I did think, if we got another first round, I'm always thinking Harley Reid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are.
We need to package something up for Harley. I had a little chat to Harley the other night too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yep.
I want to know who else.
He asked me, what's the property values around Essendon like?
Oh, really?
I said, pretty good.
Yeah,
Harley, for a man of his means.
If he's coming from Perth, really?
Well, he's a Melbourne boy, so
did you?
He's Victorian anyway.
I heard you were speaking to another gentleman from the West Coast team with a lovely head of hair.
I did find myself nestled in amongst the Eagles. I guess misery attracts, doesn't it? We're all sort of bottom enders.
Right.
But no, I did have a chat to Jake Waterman.
Oh, you did?
People, because of course his brother played with us for a little while.
He did.
And yes. I can confirm that Jake is wearing a Lego headpiece.
Right.
That is not real hair.
Right. I knew it.
But Jake, lovely to see you. He's a lovely young boy, and a relative of a very close friend of mine. So I was able to sort of pop over and say hi on behalf of my
you
friend.
Were.
Yeah.
But hang on, but at the Brownlow, just tell us a little bit more. Like, what's the food quality like?
Food's not bad.
Because you always hear a lot of clinking of the cutlery.
That is a sound effect.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that is a
sound effect. They overlay
that because the meals are done before the count starts.
What about dessert?
You might. No, I think no. You're right.
They hold off dessert. I bet they do.
You get dessert at the 4th ad break,
right?
And you have to bolt it down.
You do.
Yeah, but there's no clinking, right? It's sort of like
it's like a tiramisu, like
It's soft food.
Yeah.
So you're not driving the knife through to the
none of the wags would be touching the dessert with that.
No, none of the wags. Well, I don't know.
Pushing that away.
I think Dipper's wag might have had a few desserts. But,
right, okay.
You had to sit next to the bloody Hawthorn legends. I had Dipper Domenico and Greg Williams, of all people, sort of breathing down my neck.
Right.
But,
yes.
And I said hello to Greg Williams on behalf of Sean Denham.
Right.
And
you did?
Yeah. He just sort of...
What did he say?
He just wiped a bit of sweat off his...
did he? Yeah.
The thought of Sean Denham...
Feeling the pressure.
Hunting him down.
Right, okay. So nothing else
Enough about me.
Okay.
Tell me your thoughts coming up trade period draft. What are your
don't. I'm not that.
No, but what are your hopes?
My hopes are unrelated to the trade period. I want to see the focus in the off season on some of the basics. You know what I mean? If we go into another, in the last couple of off seasons, we've talked about peak delusion, and I'm an optimistic kind of guy. I run optimistic in my life, but I tell you, I'm just unsure whether some of the key
issues...
You're
like Jim Carrey in The Truman Show, aren't you? You're that happy kind of... Everything's rosy. You always look at the bright side of life.
I do.
You are.
Do.
It's but light and dark, isn't it?
Yeah, we do. We represent both sides of the human psyche. But if I have to watch our team, transition from defence with just a whole bunch of short kicks, just gradually increased pressure from the opposition till the ball turns over about 45 metres out from goal. If I have to watch that again, it's just like being bashed with a bag of oranges. I don't know if I can do it. So, you talk about your trade talk. I'd like to see things like that addressed in the off-season.
Well, I guess the point is, to get what you're looking for, you have to have the players. You have to have the players. You have to have guys who can kick the ball accurately across 40 metres, 50 metres.
Like D'Ambrosio.
Damn it, I knew you were going to say that. So anyway, and then, by the way, just back to the trade.
Yeah, all right, okay. We're
apparently in the hunt for Tim Membury. as a replacement if Jake was to move on.
Right.
And at 30 years of age, quite injury prone. But
would he be a good deal?
I think so. I think Tim Membury is an upstanding citizen.
Yeah. Well, we could do with improving our tattoo quota because every team that wins a premiership has at least 28 to 33%.
But I understand he's a stamp collector in his spare time, so the tats are a little bit deceiving. Sure, okay. But I think Tim Membury, match him up in our forward line with young Caddy. Let's hope big 2 metre Peter comes back bigger and better next year, maybe. But I think Tim Membury's on the radar as well. And also, did I mention Josh Rotham from the West Coast Eagles?
Who?
Yes.
Who's he?
Josh Rotham. Nobody? Apparently,
do we have a cricket's chirping sound effect?
Apparently, he is.
I have no idea who.
We are very, very big on Josh,
right, to boost our back line.
And I asked the boys at the Brownlow about it, the West, because I spent a bit of time with the Eagles.
Right.
I am working hard on Harley Reid. That's why.
Oh,
but I said, hey, tell me about Josh Rotham, and they went.
even they said that.
Is he the master?
Does he at training? Do they ask him for a drink bottle?
Yeah, you got some oranges there, Josh. Yeah, they weren't quite sure, to be honest.
Right. Okay.
And I said, good luck with that. So Tim Membury, Josh Rotham.
Where did you get this information? Honestly, are you just trying to wind?
Do you know the men's public toilets at Flinders Street? There's on one of the cubicles. There's a
notice board.
AFL updates.
Right.
Tim Watson's retired.
Tim Watson.
I thought he was in fantastic form, and he's apparently pulled the pin at Channel 7.
Right. Well, there's a lot of media moves, but so he's going anywhere. Or he's just going to do.
I don't know. No, that hasn't been confirmed.
His breakfast show. Okay.
I wonder if he's on
part of the because there's a lot of outgoing at Channel 9.
That's what I was wondering.
He's incoming.
That's a trade, right?
Yeah, I think that is.
So Tim Watson and
for Caroline Wilson
and Jane Bunn for Caroline Wilson and Kane Corns.
They won't let Jane Bunn go.
Yeah, how could you? She's a solid presence on the half-back line, right?
Yeah.
Young Jane. Yep. But what are your thoughts? You're a big follower of the media. I know you watch closely the moves in the media.
Well, I've
that's mainstream media.
Have you seen the guy commenting on our videos, referring to us as mainstream media scum?
He did that?
Yeah, he did, which I actually took as a compliment.
Why,
but
thank you, sir.
I don't think he meant it as a compliment.
But that's nothing but a compliment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because we're just backyard job. We're backyard amateurs.
At best.
So he's calling us like the mainstream media.
Yeah. We're just part of the problem.
Sir, we salute you. Thank you for that. So talk about these changes at Channel 9.
You've got Kane Corns, who now has really cemented himself as
the hottest name in media, footy media?
He probably is. And his approach,
other than ourselves,
his approach is, what's the most controversial thing that I can say about this little footy team? You're a huge fan.
I'm a fan of that.
Huge fan. He runs with that. So he digs the biggest hole that he can for himself, and then he tries to get out of it, which is working incredibly well. You sit on the fence in this game, no one wants to know.
So opinionated.
Right? Yes.
To the nth degree.
Forthright in his views.
And that gets you a massive contract.
Channel 7 says, here, you fill in the figure on this check. Anyone watching who's younger than 30?
I need to speak to my agent.
You do.
I mean, because you're not paying me enough.
So they're balancing that with Caroline Wilson. Also,
you need a little eye candy, don't you, right?
Mate, don't.
That wasn't judgmental.
Anyway,
so Caro's going with Kano.
Yes, Kano. And who was the other one? Was there someone else?
The big guy, Hutchie.
Oh, Hutchie as well. Yeah. Well, he runs a very large.
Doesn't he own his own TV
media empire? Right. Yes, he is. He is the man. He's more pulling the strings from behind.
So who produces the Footy Classified? Is Eddie Maguire? Does he produce? Is he one of the producers?
I thought
Maguire Media.
I thought it was Craig Hutchison, but maybe it is Eddie's empire.
Right. So he'd be feeling a bit.
A little bit unloved.
Yeah.
I would have thought so.
Nothing would make me happier, to be honest.
Well, look, apparently, he also can be forthright in his views.
I noticed his son just won Best Up and Coming Young Media Talent in some recent media. Well, Xander.
Oh, did he?
Xander Maguire. Well done,
okay.
Xander.
Okay, well, mate, he's building.
He's had to work hard to get to that position, and
mate, good on him. We're only jealous. So,
no, we're not.
Well done.
Well done. No, okay. Xander is actually very good.
Yes,
he's really quite a presence and a force to be reckoned with.
Right.
And I'm sure so. Maybe Eddie will tempt him onto footy classified.
But yeah, there's been quite a few moves.
Yes,
so interesting there that Channel 7 has tried to bolster the stocks, which leaves Lloydie over there on his own at Footy Classified.
I think Lloydie could feel a little bit hardly done by.
How so?
Harshly done by.
How so?
Because, I would have thought he would have been asked to come across with Kane. But he was bypassed for Hutchie.
Yeah.
The Velvet Sledgehammer, he probably didn't even notice it happening. He's a little bit gone with the wind, the Matty Lloyd. And what else is happening? Is there any other football news that we need to... Now, the grand finals this week,
mate, it is. Are we going to sort of throw this up before
what exactly is a grand final?
Oh, God.
What is it?
What are you doing?
What is the grand final?
Are you lobbing something up for me that I'm
trying.
Not smashing away?
I am definitely trying.
Well, a little bit of notice wouldn't go astray. We're left with the Swans and the Brisbane Lions. Well, the Lions, who haven't met since in a grand final since
1898.
There you go. And the winner on that day was?
I believe it was the Lions by one solitary point.
Right.
In front of 12,000 people down at the Jollymont Rail Yards that used to be the MCG.
Right.
Or was the MCG.
Well, there you have it. So quite momentous.
So this is the first time in over 125 years since the Lions and the Swannies have played together. And that's almost about as long since we last won a final. Almost. Not quite. But, it's going to be an absolute cracker of a game. I'm absolutely looking forward to it. I can't be sure who I'm supporting. I don't know. Who are you backing on the day?
There's the Essendon connection at the Lions with Joe Danaher, and we know he's going to have a big game. We just know it. He loves the big occasions, loves to put on a show. You got Connor McKenna there as well. Hey, he'll. I think...
How many more knives do you want to stick in my back?
Yeah, I know. But you know what? That's why I think they will prevail. And, I mean, a lot of people are picking the Swans. I don't know what the Smarties are saying, what the odds are saying. But you could argue that Brisbane, in the dying moments of the grand final last year against Collingwood, were denied a free kick in a crucial time. I've just got a feeling that the gods will say, you know what, Lions, it's yours this year. I think they will prevail.
It's a very interesting matchup. They've both had very different paths to this one day in September. The Swans, of course, have been the ladder leader for pretty much all of the season. They had a little hiccup about 6 weeks before the end of the year, but they came good. And I noticed that at the Brownlow, they had 3 players poll over 22 votes.
Yeah, wow.
Heaney, Goulden and Warner. That is a stellar midfield that they have.
Yeah.
And, of course, they've got Brodie Grundy leading the line in the ruck against a much weakened ruck for Brisbane with the Big O not playing after dislocating his shoulder, and Darcy Fort coming in, I think, for only his 3rd or 4th game for the season to play in the ruck for the Lions. So that's a very interesting sort of subplot to that.
Sure.
I noticed that the AFL wheeled out Oscar McInerney to meet with Katy Perry.
Oh, really?
At the publicity launch for Katie's appearance at the grand final half-time entertainment.
There's a combo of the beautiful people.
Well, you'd think, okay, who should we select to sort of be our football representative when they meet Katy Perry? Now, I mean, as much as I love Oscar,
do you really?
He was not top of mind. He was not top of mind. I would have thought maybe little Jack Ginnivan could have been an option actually, or Cam Rayner.
He would have saved it.
Anybody but Oscar, frankly.
Yeah, I would have thought Will Ashcroft would have been a good combo.
Maybe Jake Waterman with that hair.
Yeah. Maybe. They would have had her.
But Katie was in a nice little midriff. What do you call it? Midriff showing, and a nice crisp cool spring day down there and handling the ball very well, I thought.
Yes.
Apparently she is the 104th person to register a single handball at the MCG in September. So that's an interesting stat for you.
Yes. Was Robbie Williams last year or the year before?
Kiss was last year.
Oh, it was Kiss. Yes. It's, you know, I think Robbie Williams helped put that event on the map for, you know, global superstar types. I think, because, you know, there'd been a couple of sort of lesser performances.
You don't think you don't think Eskimo Joe did that job?
Anyway,
Paul Kelly.
It'll be good to have Katy Perry putting on
Angry Anderson
show.
in the Batmobile back in 92. Was it 92? I think it was.
That's right.
91 actually. 91 out at Waverley.
Suddenly.
So big game. What's your tip?
I think I gave it already, but I think
you said who you'd like.
It'll be Brisbane. I think. Oh, no, I didn't say who I'd liked. I don't like, because if Joey still, you know, it stirs up negative feelings. But I think Brisbane will win by 13 points.
I would like Brisbane to win.
Would you?
I think
Why?
the Swans are going to get the job done.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think the Swans will get the job done. Let's be honest, you know, as much as Brisbane probably deserve a win after last year's travesty of justice, the Swans have played 4 grand finals under the coaching of Horse, and they've only won one of them. So it would be pretty disappointing if they were to lose another one. So I tend to think they're the team coming in with the best form line. They've had the easiest run. They're ready to go. They're refreshed. And I think, you know, Brisbane might have played their grand final.
Yeah, there is that effect. Yeah. There is always that effect where they snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. So maybe that was their big moment. Anyway, well,
do you want to have a crack at the Norm Smith medalists? I think it's always, our fans love to hear our crazy tips.
I don't think they've switched off, mate. That was half an hour ago. Just a Norm Smith medalist. I think it will be.
Do you want a list of the Brisbane players?
Joe Danaher.
Jeez. Okay.
Just to stick it to us.
Well, that would hurt. That would hurt a lot. I think I'm going to. Who did I say Swans are going to win?
Yeah, you went the Swans.
Okay. Errol Goulden.
Yeah, that's a good. That's a good.
Yeah, with 32 possessions off a wing.
Oh, really?
Fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
and 2 goals. So
who plays better at the MCG, Lions or the Swans? Do you want to check your book then? We don't know, but someone
Brisbane
will
won there
know.
last week, so that's something that Sydney might have to compare. Did we talk about the grand final sprint?
No, we didn't. And we.
I don't think we have we? If we have, I'll edit it out. But
no, we didn't. No, we haven't.
But do you know who the Essendon have nominated to be our version of Usain Bolt? Right. In the grand final sprint at half-time. Who would you think would be the most likely candidate for that?
Let me think. Caldwell.
Yeah, good guess, but not right.
Okay.
Not right. I'll give you one more. Think of someone who's pretty quick. I know we don't have a lot.
No, I know. It's actually...
Nick Hines gone, so that's him out.
It's not easy. No, I've got nothing.
All right, well, I'm going to tell you. It's the snail, Ben Hobbs.
He's not the snail.
He is the snail.
He's the hobgoblin.
Ben Hobbs. Ben Hobbs, he can barely get up to a canter. He is going to be representing... This is the thing about this football club. You know, they just don't seem to want to win anything in September.
Oh, yeah. No, I think you're being harsh.
Do they?
I think you're being harsh. I think Ben's going to surprise you. Top 3 finish.
Mate, Ben,
top 3.
As long as he doesn't do a hammy, because there goes his trade value.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
we don't want to see that.
I just want to wish both teams the very best. Are we wrapping up? Or?
Look, I think that's probably...
Have you got something else?
That's probably more.
Oh, I think there's one thing more, isn't there? Might as well keep going, because if they come this far, they want more.
Yeah, true.
What else? Okay. I did think you had something else, didn't you?
Well, aren't a couple of our players going over to
folks, go grab a coffee
to the Middle East to work on their soft tissue injuries?
Oh, right, that's true.
Isn't that true? Wasn't Ridley one of them?
I think Riddles is over there, and someone else too. You're right.
They're going to Qatar of all places.
Is it Qatar?
Are they the capital of soft tissue injuries?
They are. They are.
Remediation.
They are. You know, there's a real big sports science scene in the oil state of Qatar and in Doha. So I believe a few players in the AFL have now gone over there to have their soft muscle injuries checked out.
Okay.
I mean, that's the only muscle that's going to get sort of looked at in Qatar, isn't it?
Right.
But, I mean, I don't know whether that's right, going to one of those, rich Gulf states for that type of treatment.
Mate,
why are these places never in sort of like Warrnambool or, they're always in like places with 5-star hotels.
Yeah, exactly. And resorts and pool bars.
Home to the
anyway, let's hope it works.
Groups.
Whatever it is, let's hope it works.
And also, I think we wanted to just quickly touch on one last thing. I don't think I've spoken to you since the Ken Hinckley, James Sicily. Now, I know everyone's hung on this long to hear your views on that.
Right.
What happened there?
Well, wasn't that in response to a social media post by that little rascal Ginnivan leading up to that game between the Hawks and Port Adelaide, where he reached out to his friends Brodie and from the Swans.
I don't think they're really friends.
And who was the other one? Don't know.
It was Brodie, because they played for a season.
And he was basically saying, "I'll see you in a couple of weeks," suggesting that they were going to win that game against Port Adelaide, which of course they ended up.
Taylor Adams?
Possibly, yes, Taylor Adams. Yes, it was. And so, of course, they ended up losing in the dying moments. And I think Ken Hinckley took some satisfaction in letting them know that they didn't win. Down on the ground post game. But I think the issue wasn't it that they were sort of hoisting up Luke Bruce for his 300 game celebration. Hinckley took that moment to sort of say,
gotcha. Making that
who's
sort
laughing now? Right? What was that? What was all that about? Oh, go home.
Something like that. Yeah. Right. Look, I saw the criticism. It's like
he copped a bit of flack.
Ken Hinckley, a grown man, abusing a young 23-year-old kid.
Because he does have a bit of a father figure.
Well, that's right. But I tell you what, the school I went to, the grown men there had no problems abusing the young boys. So, not that I was ever involved in that, but I got caned quite a bit by grown men.
I can imagine.
I'm sure Ginnivan can hold his own against Ken Hinckley. I thought the whole thing was overblown, to be honest.
Big time.
But James Sicily losing his shit, wanting to get over there and smack Ken Hinckley.
Yeah. Who was pulling him back?
Maybe if you'd kick straight, James, you would have won the game.
Oh, that's very harsh. Okay. That wasn't an easy kick. But they could have snatched it.
Massimo was dragging James back, saying, "Hey, don't get caught up in that."
Don't think it was much of a drag back.
No, it wasn't really, was it? But that was about the most controversial thing that came out of that week. I mean, honestly, it's been a quiet month, hasn't it, really?
But I do think, now that we've mentioned the Hawks, that Sam Mitchell, who, we're not big fans of, I would have to say, Coach of the Year. For what he achieved with that club.
Failure.
Please give us your thoughts on Coach of the Year.
They didn't win the grand final. How can the Coach of the Year ever be anything other than the premiership coach? Because that is the goal. That is the whole point of it. I don't buy into, you took them from 12th to 5th. I don't care. You win the flag, you're the Coach of the Year. Simple. Done.
Don't agree.
Well,
couldn't agree less.
What's the criteria? What is the point of having a Coach of the Year because he tried hard? It's like, handing out medals.
What do you mean tried hard?
Participation
Not
medals.
much was expected of them. When we tweeted that, how does the Hawthorn list compare to ours? Are we really, that far ahead of them? People went ballistic. Oh, that's a bad take. Oh, clickbait. Oh, you guys are a joke. Do you recall that? The flack that was copped? Do you recall?
No.
Do you recall? No, you don't now. You recalled at the time. You don't now. So that's what people thought. And look at them. I thought they achieved a fair
I'm
bit.
guaranteeing you that...
he brought that team together.
Of the four people still watching, I reckon 3 of them are going to agree with me on this one.
Right.
The premiership coach is the Coach of the Year. Right.
Okay.
What?
So John Worsfold, when he won with West Coast back in the day and had Cousins, and I won't go on to all the players that he had, he was Coach of the Year. Was he?
Well, he won.
Or
the
was he just kissed on the?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Kissed
but
on
look,
the
it's just a simple thing, right? The point of the game is to win the premiership. If you win it, you are the Coach of the Year. You are the club of the year. And how did that club get there? Because of their coach. That's it. Simple as that.
Yeah,
no need to think about it.
All right. Okay.
Otherwise, you're going to get into, well, look, to be fair, the reason North Melbourne finished 17th was because, a lot of things out of their control. and had those things gone right, they might have won the premiership. So maybe we give their coach of the year.
No,
exactly.
Not a bottom dweller.
Exactly.
Not,
all right.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Well,
I think we're well and truly
I don't think we're going to be back anytime soon after that.
That was to try and carry you through the summer.
Right.
And in those lonely nights when the crickets are out, the cicadas are cicadaing.
And you're really having trouble sleeping and the demons are taking control, allow us to return you to your somnambula.
We're just dragging it out again. Yeah, by the way, we will be back for another show just after the trade period.
Will we? Okay.
And we will also come back for an early look at the draft, which of course you're not looking forward to, but I am.
Right.
And we've got some really exciting plans for next season, which we're looking forward to announcing as soon as we work out what they are.
Right.
Yes. But whatever they will be, they will be exciting, I'm sure.
Huge, I tell you. Make Essendon great again.
We will definitely do our best.
We're going to try.
Smoking Joe, it's been great to get back in the studio with you.
It has.
And guys, thank you for watching for this long if you have. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
We're just having a little bit of fun. Not much to really get excited about, of course, for us Bomber fans, but we make the most of it, don't we?
Oh, what an ending. All right, thanks again for watching.
See you later,
guys.
We'll
see you again very soon.
Take care.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Whoa. That is a summer blockbuster.